Welcome to CUTV News Radio, where our hosts Doug Llewellyn and Jim Masters talk to today's top thinkers from all around the world to bring you information, inspiration, and thought-provoking ideas that you can put to use in your personal or professional life right now. Covering a broad range of topics, we dig deep to discover what makes today's top thinkers tick. CUTV News Radio. It's the show where ideas matter. And now, here's today's host, Jim Masters.
We thank you very much for joining us, everybody. We're live worldwide on the award-winning CUTV News Radio Live. Jim Masters here. A pleasure to have you with us today on the program. Also a pleasure to have our very special guest, Alexandra Salamis. She is here to continue her conversation with us about her company, Integral Leadership Design, also about the vital importance for businesses to look at the challenges specifically that women face to help clear the path for talented, dynamic women leaders to rise to the top. Because nowadays, creating a work environment where women can thrive and applying initiatives that support, advance, retain, and reward them is not only the right thing to do, it's the smart and strategic way to go. Alexandra is founder and president of Integral Leadership Design. This is part 2 of her exclusive series with us. You can go into our archives to hear part 1. We'll recap a little of why she does what she does and the incredible work that she does, how she does it, and then expand even further. She has been providing leadership coaching and consultant services to organizations and individuals for over 25 years. She's a former executive herself, a member of the Forbes Coaches Council, and a certified member of the Association of Change Management Professionals. She has been awarded the International Coach Federation certification and also nominated for Canada's Top 100 Most Powerful Women Award in 2018. She also holds 2 master's degrees in the field of human development. Her purpose in life, she says, is to empower women to lead as women. She focuses on leadership coaching for women who are already leaders or who aspire to become leaders. Women need to take charge, she says, be clear and boldly drive their destiny so they can confidently lead others, which is really important. According to Alexandra, we urgently need more diverse leaders, and one way we can do that is by having more women leaders in the world. This isn't saying men are bad and women are good, only that women can bring something new and different to the leadership table that leverages the power of diversity. And based on her own experiences, and also hard lessons learned so she can relate to her clients, Alexandra was inspired, she said in a previous episode, to create her women's leadership coaching program called Purpose, Passion, and Presence for Women Rising. Now, the program is offered to companies and individual women focusing on helping women become their very best selves as leaders by defining their leadership presence. Because for many women, the concept of leadership presence is hard to define. You know it when you see it in others, but you may be unsure how to develop it yourself. So leadership presence is a head and heart experience that combines authenticity, confidence, integrity, purpose, and connection with others. According to Alexandra, to lead with purpose, passion, and presence is to lead yourself and others with your best self. And that is the best way to go about it. And we're very honored to welcome her back to CUTV News Radio Live and continue our exclusive discussion here about the incredible work that she does and the successes that she's had along the way as well. Alexandra, thank you very much for joining us here once again for part 2 of your series on CUTV News Radio Live. We welcome you back to the show.
Thank you, Jim. It's wonderful to be here with you and your listeners today. Thanks.
You are very, very welcome, and it's a pleasure, and I've been looking forward to this show the last couple of days and all day today because I think it's a wonderful topic as everything evolves in our society and our culture and the way of thinking and in diversity and celebrating all of the above. When Integral Leadership Design was created, what was it that you wanted to bring to the table that you think is different in terms of your own perspective, your own wisdom, of course, tapping into some of the things you've experienced along the way that make you very relatable for your clients that you work with and helping them sort of maybe get back on track, get focused, maybe regain the awakening of their confidence, their resilience, their excitement to move forward in their lives and their careers. Tell us a little bit about that.
You know, Jim, I think it starts with when people ask us the question, how are you leading your life? And I think the word leading in that question is key, because we all need to be leading our lives. And in other words, life is and should be about making things happen for you rather than letting things happen to you. So it's really about taking life by the horns, right, and running with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I strongly believe in that. I always have believed in that, and frankly, I think for me personally, it's helped me get through life's challenges. And you know, let's face it, life can be challenging. And the important piece here is that I believe that great leadership, it doesn't come from a position in an organization or being a certain way in terms of a personality type or a leadership type. It's really all about cultivating self-development. So, you know, what I bring, what Integral Leadership Design brings to the table is, instead of focusing on a list of what I call leadership competencies, what we do is we focus on helping leaders to get it right on the inside. So what I mean by that is it's by understanding who we are, we lead ourselves more effectively, and by leading ourselves more effectively, we can better lead others. You know, you think one of Jack Welch's, one of his great quotes is, before you are a leader, success is all about growing yourself. When you become a leader, success is all about growing others. And that's my thrust. My programs are built in that way. I coach people starting from that perspective, which is really about getting it right on the inside.
That's so very important, right? That getting it right on the inside comes before what you work on the outside. Absolutely. You know, the role of the leader has changed so much. You and I were just chatting about it before we went live on air, in terms of how when one thought of a leader, they thought of control, they thought of power, they thought of maybe even sometimes dominance. They thought of the boss up in the ivory tower, who you had very little access to, and maybe you didn't even think that they even knew your first name. Now, I think really strong and effective leaders, women and men, are understanding that to get the most out of people, to provide them a sense of importance and value and appreciation, and that then resulting in their contentment, fulfillment, satisfaction. So they're going to want to give 110% to the company, to the mission, to the cause. They're becoming more engaged and more empowering and more inspiring, wouldn't you say?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. I think the very times we're in, you know, is calling us to move away from that kind of top-down command and control approach to leadership. You know, so really things are shifting, and they're shifting, you know, away from that, you know, command and control approach, and more towards a leader's ability to be collaborative, to connect with others. Empathy's a huge piece, to listen and to communicate and honor other people. And, you know, the world, I think, is craving for that. And I think it's, you know, the other piece I would add to that is the need for authenticity. I mean, when we rub up against someone who is an authentic leader, they're speaking from the heart. And speaking from the heart gives us goosebumps, right? And an authentic leader is someone who, you know, will listen to you and will be heard, and people will follow an authentic leader. There's something intoxicating about someone who speaks from their heart and their head as well, of course, because it's really about the leader creating a place and making people feel that they're wanted, they're needed, that they're safe, and they'll follow you wherever you want to go.
That's right, exactly. The inspiration and the aura and everything that's created is unbelievable, and it can be infectious, and people want to be around positivity and reinforcement. Absolutely. So in terms of the unique formula and the unique ways that you do what you do, really focusing on you, Alexandra, tell us a bit about when you have that initial contact with a client, what is that like in terms of a session? Do they have to do any homework in advance? Do they have to prepare themselves? Is there any prerequisite? Do they have to be in a certain setting or stage of life in order for these coaching sessions to occur? Tell us about what people can expect when they work with you.
One of the first things I do with folks is I send out what I call my welcoming package. And really what that's all about is setting the stage for success. And it's really getting clients to make space in their lives for coaching. Because coaching is not just about the 1 hour session we have. It's also about the time in between in terms of practices and work that clients need to do in between the sessions. So it starts with a welcoming package. It starts really helping the client focus in on what is it that you want to achieve with this coaching program. You know, I might be meeting folks 3 months, 6 months duration. And so it's really getting people to focus in on that. The other piece is making space in their life for that. I mean, we all lead such busy lives. So it's really about getting clients to commit to, you know, protecting some time, whether it's in their day or in the evening or on the weekend, to really start to focus in on developing themselves. The other piece of it is highly encourage my coaching clients to get a journal. So to start to really write down and chronicle what it is that they're thinking about, what they're doing, their thoughts, their aha moments. And it's those gems of things that come into the coaching session. The first coaching session starts with what I call a discovery. And it's in the discovery where it's all about listening to the client about where they are, where they want to go, and, you know, their thoughts about what have they attempted in the past in order to move forward, why they may think that they're stuck, what they've tried, what kind of assessments. Sometimes we'll look at perhaps doing some 360 assessments or personal assessments, depending on what their issues are, that will help get us at kind of the heart of the matter, because that's really what coaching is about, is to drill down into the heart of the matter. What is it that's standing in your way? And how is it we're going to clear the deck from that? So we move past discovery into I build a coaching plan that has usually 2 or 3 developmental goals associated with that, and we move through those coaching sessions, knocking off those goals one at a time. And in between the sessions, there's a lot of practice, and I design those practices based on what I've heard and what we agreed to. And that's essentially how the coaching process works. Usually towards the end, we end with a celebratory session at the very end, which is an opportunity for my clients to really be able to look back and talk about the journey that they've had and what it is that they've learned, but also, too, how are they going to sustain this and keep moving forward once the coaching program is over. So to really make this solid, and that's a key piece, to keep these good habits, these moving forward is crucial for the return on investment on coaching.
So I'm sure with all of this incredible perspective and wisdom that you have and this toolkit of techniques and approaches, it's not one size fits all. You sort of can customize everything that you do in a way for the particular client or organization based on what the kind of work it is that they do, what their hopes and dreams, desires are, probably also dealing with different emotions, different personality types you're working with, right? You have a certain methodology to it all, but it isn't one size fits all. You can craft it for the needs of the clients as well as based on personality and just some of the things that you observe in the assessment stage of things, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's what makes coaching so powerful. It's funny. I just had a client who we were in the celebratory session, and she was telling me that having these one-on-one conversations was way more effective than attending any leadership development classes that she had done in the past, because I meet the person where they are, right? And meet them where they are. We set up these developmental goals. Sometimes what happens is as we move through, the client realizes that these really aren't their goals. So we throw those out and we start anew. It's really about walking and pacing with the client as they move through and really start to drill down into those things that they want to change in their life, whether it's their personal life or the professional life. Often the two bleed into each other. But yeah, it's highly customized for sure. People tend to think of coaching as sessions, but it's way more than that. In terms of the in-between times is where I really go to work to design practices, design homework, if you will, that really gets at the heart of the matter, what it is that we're trying to change. And highly customized, which is what I love about it, right? It's for me,
right? Exactly.
It's so cool to really get to know and understand somebody in terms of where they are and where it is they want to go, and to support and challenge from a loving place how to get there for them. It's not work for me. It's I just love it.
Absolutely. See, that's the key. That's the thing that makes it beautiful, is the fact that you love it. And that is really an amazing thing when you're able to have that happen in a way that brings you joy as much as the joy that you're bringing others, because sometimes they discover things about themselves they never even realized, in terms of tapping into their own potential and understanding their own resilience and the contributions that are of a great importance and the impact that they can make and are making. Sometimes we don't always hear that. I imagine, too, you have probably some wonderful case studies that you might be able to share with us, some examples of how your method and your approach and your empathetic ways and understanding the human condition have led to wonderful transformations and or successes for individuals and companies as a whole. Can you share any of those with us?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember working with a fellow who he had a couple of work experiences where he started to realize that he was an executive, and he was starting to realize that he perhaps was not as trusted as he thought he was with some of the folks that he worked with. And it really blindsided him, because he saw himself as someone who was very trustworthy and felt that he was, building the right kind of environment to be trusted. But he just got a bit of feedback from people that said otherwise. And we ended up our coaching relationship, and he was very self-conscious to begin with. And so, part of my role is to put people at ease, for them to understand that these are confidential conversations. They are also, I come from a non-judgmental place, and really tried to kind of open the door a little bit for him in terms of having a bit more self-compassion for himself and coming at it from a place of curiosity rather than self-judgment. We often are really tough on ourselves. And so we worked from that perspective, and I he was able to kind of come around and realize that he had really well-meaning intentions in terms of what he said and what he did, but that sometimes those were being misinterpreted. So we unpacked that as much as we could and started to look at different ways that he might be able to say things in a different way and to do things in a different way, so that, his intentions, his well-meaning intentions, were way more aligned to what was actually being said and done. And for him, it completely changed the way that he was as a leader with others. And he started to feel even as we were in coaching, I think we were together for about 5 months. And even during that process, you could hear that he's like, oh, I can't wait to tell you what happened this week, So it really turned things around for him. It was so exhilarating for him, and it was so wonderful. Once someone is committed themselves to really wanting to take an honest look at themselves, it is amazing what people achieve. Absolutely amazing. In many ways, I'm just a witness to that. It's just so powerful.
Yeah, I would imagine, and it just reemphasizes why you do what you do and why you're so effective at it, and why it brings you great joy to do the work that you do. In terms of your ideas of what makes a good leader and how great leaders can really inspire other great leaders, let's talk a little bit about that for those who are, because sometimes people are thrust in a leadership role and it just came out of osmosis or the luck of the draw, or just something happened where they're thrust in, and maybe they're not really as prepared as they thought they would be, or others think that they are. Let's talk about some of the things that really make for a good, effective leader these days, and how they can inspire others.
I think, one of the things I love to tell this story in terms of inspirational leaders. In a bid to entice Pepsi executive John Scully to join Apple in the 80s, Steve Jobs asked him, do you want to sell sugar water for the rest of your life, or do you want to come with me and change the world? Like, wow, right? That's such an inspirational challenge, and it made Mr. Scully, that's what gets to the core of great leaders who inspire others. They inspire others to dream big and to visualize unlimited possibilities. We all of us, myself included, walk around with what I call self-limiting beliefs about ourselves. And all it takes is someone else to say, a sentence or two to ignite us to say, yeah, you're absolutely right. I have been thinking in a small way about myself. I can move on. I can, go after something big, and I can visualize unlimited opportunities and possibilities. Absolutely. And I think the other piece about inspirational leaders is that they ignite a spark that moves us into action. And how they do that is they do that by telling us what they believe, so what they believe in their head and heart, and by making us feel like we belong. That's huge. And that we are special, and that we are safe, and that we are not alone. That together is dynamite in terms of inspiring others, whether it is inspiring others to lead or inspiring others to follow us. I think that's kind of the formula for inspirational leadership.
Absolutely right. It really, really is. And again, when people realize that and they apply it, it can lead to some really extraordinary things. In terms of your approach, what are some of the qualities that you think make an effective coach? Because there's lots of coaches of all different kinds out there, and sometimes it can be a blur for people. But what is it about your approach that you think makes you effective? And what are maybe some of your definitions of the qualities of an effective coach? People may be listening right now and saying, gee, I'd like to make contact and would love to contact you.
I think there's three qualities. I think the first and foremost is humility. And that, humility embodies the knowledge that I, as a coach, am not perfect. Trust me, I've blown it. I've had my moments. That I am humble, and knowing that helps me be more compassionate and able to empathize with the people I work with. I put my socks on one foot at a time, and I understand that, life can be a struggle at times, and I know that I'm not perfect. So I would say certainly a quality of an effective coach, and I believe that, I have this, is humility. The other one is patience. People move at different rates, and part of being an effective coach is and having patience helps me give the people I work with the space and the time to work through what it is they need to do for meaningful change. And to understand that, change is not a straight upward line. It's up, it's down, it's backwards, it's 360, it's 180. And to be able to stick it out with that person as they continue to move through, patience is huge in coaching. And, last but not least is skillful listening. And this is when we use more than our ears. We use our heart and we use our eyes. And this helps me as a coach to hear what isn't being said. It's key. And it's that kind of give and take of listening and responding. And that's so important, because the greatest psychological need of any human being is that the need to feel heard. And when people feel heard, they're more likely to hear you. And that's what I think helps me to be an effective coach.
See, that's great. And I think what's wonderful about that approach is everything, when they sometimes think of coach, they think of always that rah, 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 let's go, come on, sort of that mentality. And sometimes that can work for some people, but I think a lot of people would rather have more of, this deeper approach, longer lasting approach that has this depth to it that they can apply to all aspects of their life. And so I think that's really, really important, because, if they're having a wonderful experience in their career, that does spill out into every relationship they have outside of the office or the store or wherever they are, which is really, really important. And you help get that ball rolling and facilitate it, which I think is you're really the facilitator. You're also, in many ways, also helping them tap into themselves and find that light that maybe once was, that maybe got extinguished or is just flickering, to help build that resilience and that confidence and self-belief in oneself. So there's so many different aspects to what you do. There's the straightforward business side, clinical side, the scientific side of it all, the artful nature of it all. But then there's that deep human connection, which I think really is the part that people are probably very surprised about when they work with you, and very pleased by, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. And I love the word facilitate, because you're absolutely right. It's not something I'm giving somebody, right? It's really all about excavating, if you will, things that are already in the person, right? And so part of what I do is scratch the surface. Let's go a little deeper. Let's check that out. from a place of self-compassion and empathy and curiosity. And let's have some fun with this. Let's laugh at ourselves a little bit, because life is tough. And, the one constant in life is you. And that's what I work on, is the inside of you.
That's right. Exactly right. And it's beautiful work that you do. And if folks want to make that connection, I encourage them to go to integratedleadershipdesign.com. Wherever you are in the United States, Canada, beyond, you can connect with Alexandra at integratedleadershipdesign.com. Thank you very much for joining us, Alexandra. This was a wonderful conversation and a wonderful part two to your existing series with us here on CUTV News Radio Live. And I really hope we get a chance to maybe explore some more and talk about some new and fresh topics along the way as well. But this was really eye-opening and inspiring and insightful to have you with us on the show. So we thank you for the time you spent with us on the broadcast today.
Thank you, Jim.
You are very, very welcome. You have a wonderful rest of your day. Stay warm, bundle up, and keep exuding the warmth as well through your work and your efforts. Jim Masters here, thanking you for your time this time. Till next time, we also thank our very special guest, Alexandra Salamis of ILD, and of course, she is tremendous. IntegrativeLeadershipDesign.com is the website. For all of us here, stay tuned. We'll be back with another great guest from around the world right here on CUTV News Radio Live. Till then, for all of us, once again, Jim Masters, you have a great day. Take care now, and bye for now.
You've been listening to CUTV News Radio. If you want to learn more about our programming or perhaps be considered for a future show, visit us on the web at www.cutvnews.com. And if you enjoyed listening to today's show, subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or Stitcher, and be sure to write a review. Thanks for listening, and from all of us at CUTV News Radio, we hope you have a productive and inspired day.